Sometimes when I talk with gym owners out there, they'll say, oh, I've tried various things and they haven't worked. And typically that comes from either the people that they're working with not understanding the membership pipeline, or it comes from a lack of differentiation between an organic lead and a driven lead. So what I'm about to share with you today is the steps in that pipeline to look for when you're going to work with someone to acquire more memberships. And I'm going to tell you more about the difference between an organic lead and a driven lead, and why recognizing the difference is going to give you the strategies for acquiring more memberships on demand. So let's talk about this pipeline. First off, most marketers out there, they are focused right here, right? What do they say? We're going to get you so many leads. Let's get you some leads. Look at all these leads, right? Well, leads are great, but a lead is not the same as the goal, right? This is the target at the end of the day. And if someone specializes here, they're missing a couple of the steps, right? And there can be a linchpin, because if those leads never show up and become a prospect, they're not going to join, right? And I've talked to owners who said, yeah, I got a bunch of leads, but they didn't come in. This phase right here between lead and member is what our proprietary lead nurturing system takes care of. Call it nurture, right? Gotta make sense. But this middle step is one of the bottlenecks to the process of acquiring memberships, which this is the goal at the end of the day. Now there's one final step right here, the onboarding process. So to describe this, we've got to talk about the difference between an organic lead and a driven lead from marketing. So if you take a look at the buying cycle of an organic lead, this person is here on the outside, right? And maybe they drove by. And then next, maybe they heard about it from a friend. Then maybe they drove by again. Then maybe they started feeling really fat. Then maybe they had to get ready for a wedding or a family reunion or something of some sort. So they hop on the phone, right? And then they are going to talk to their friend, right? Who is the member, okay? And this person, who's not super happy yet because they've got a wedding or a family reunion to be ready for that they're not ready for, starts talking, right? They have this back and forth conversation. I hear you're at the gym that's up the street from my house. How much does it cost over there? What's it like over there? And then this person comes into your facility right here and they join, okay? We're gonna give that a check mark because you just got a new member, and this guy now becomes this guy over here. Super happy, right? He walks out stoked, and he's going to make progress in his life towards what he came in there to achieve. Now notice, this organic lead that had all these interactions with your business, before they came in, they knew things like how much it costs. They knew things like what the experience is like because they have friends that are there or whatever else. And something happened in their life that stimulated them to come in saying, I'm not going to put up with this anymore. I'm going to do something about what I'm experiencing and start experiencing something new. That's how an organic lead works. For studio owners and gym owners that are adding 5, 10, 15 memberships per month, a big portion of their leads are organic, from their website, from people calling in, or from member referrals. And you're dealing with leads that come in right here just before the point of purchase. This can take time though, right? All of these drive-bys and hearing from a friend and eventually getting frustrated and not wanting to put up with what they're dealing with anymore, that could be months or years, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, 2 years, who knows? And they'll come in eventually someday. Now, let's look at driven leads, right? So when we are talking about a lead who comes into the facility from marketing, what happens is they have this first interaction right here, and they see an ad, right? Or an offer, right? So they get this ad or this offer, and instead of it taking 6 months for them to come in, they're in the facility within a day or 2 or 3. So they come in through the doors. Maybe before they come in through the doors, this thing happens right here, where they want to talk with someone, okay? That could happen sooner. And they could call you up and say, hey, how much does it cost, right? Notice that when someone finds out how much it costs from their friend, they are far down the buying cycle and they've already decided they're going to do something about it. when they call you up here in the beginning and say, how much does it cost? These things haven't happened. They're more likely to be looking for a reason to not come in or a reason to not join by calling. Think about this. In your life, if you're talking about buying the new Tesla that's out, right? You're going to be super fast in the fancy one, not the base model one, the fancy fast one. If you're trying to find a good reason to buy the Tesla, you show up and sit down in that thing. Smell the new car smell. Take it for a cruise around the block. And you've talked yourself into buying it before you walk off the lot. Now, if you're trying to convince yourself that it's a bad idea and you shouldn't spend that money right now, you're going to call up and say, hey, how much does it cost? What is the interest like on that loan? And you're going to hang up and say, thanks. Yeah, that's not right. That's not for me. That costs too much. I'll buy that another year. Okay? So recognize that difference. The telephone inquiry from a driven lead is different than a telephone inquiry from an organic lead. So what'll happen is, instead of going through this whole process of deciding that they're sick of whatever they were dealing with in the past, they're going to come in right around here. Problem is, the buying decision doesn't happen till way out here when they have decided, yes, I like the atmosphere. Yes, I am no longer going to put up with what I'm dealing with. Yes, here are the benefits to my life that outweigh the cost that I just figured out right here. Okay, so you have got some significant ground to cover with a driven lead because they came in 3 days instead of 2 years. 3 days. 3 days, 2 years, right? Big difference. So when you're getting these people in from driven sources by putting an offer out there and short-circuiting this whole 2-year process, you got to understand that this step right here, this little box, okay, let's get another color so it's not too confusing. This little box right here with an organic lead has already happened naturally and organically on its own before that person comes in. But if you're going to be working with driven leads, your job is to take someone through this process in a matter of minutes, right? 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. And what you've done is you've taken a 2-year process and consolidated it to a matter of a couple days. And that is something that marketers do not understand. If you haven't spent time in the fitness industry, training sales teams, closing hundreds of members, you don't get it, right? So these marketers, they don't get it, right? They're out there and they know things about leads. Awesome, that's valuable. But in order for the goal to be achieved, you have to know about leads, you have to know about bringing them in, and you have to know about this ultra crucial onboarding process in taking that driven lead into someone who's actually decided to do something, right? The organic lead came in because they decided to do something. The driven lead came in because you made them an offer. Hey, here's this offer to come by and experience our facility. So that understanding of the key difference can explain to a lot of people out there why the leads sucked or it didn't quite work. And at the end of the day, what you want is memberships. So it's important to invest in the type of system that acquires leads, brings them in through the doors, and produces long-term memberships at the other end.